Hey everyone, welcome into another edition of No Holds Barred here at the Toronto Sun. Rob Wong and Postmedia wrestling writer Jan Murphy with you as always. Today, we are really excited to be joined by one of the greatest big men to ever step inside the squared circle. He is a WWE Hall of Famer, and right now you can find him as part of the Busted Open radio crew and as part of the morning kickoff on AM 1300 The Zone in Austin, Texas. It is the world's strongest man, Mark Henry. Thanks for joining us, Mark.
Well, good morning. Thank you all for having me.
For sure. I was looking up you as far as what you're doing these days, as I mentioned, the Busted Open Radio crew, and I was, really interested to see that you're doing this morning sports radio gig for AM 1300 The Zone in Austin. I myself have a little bit of a morning sports radio background, so I know the challenges of what that is like. You've been doing it for almost a year now. How have you found it?
I found it to be awesome because I watch sports every day, and I always have a take. And one of the segments on our show is the World's Strongest Take, and it's where I really dive into something that really either grinds my gears or that I'm really excited about. So it's just a way to express myself through the art of explaining the true inside understanding of sports.
Mark, Rob forgot to mention that you are a Chinlock Wrestling alum. In 2019, you came up to Kingston here and did Chinlock for me, and you even introduced my late brother's Memorial Championship belt. So, Rob was remiss in mentioning that. So, thank you again for that. Uh, I'm curious about Ozzy Osbourne, your take on Ozzy. We lost an absolute legend in the music world, but that crossover that celebrities and wrestling has been significant. Uh, Probably more beneficial to wrestling than music, but give us your thoughts on Ozzy and sort of that world where that blends celebrity and wrestling.
You know what? Being able to have met him and talked to him and saw how much of a wrestling fan he was awesome to me because um, we rarely have elite entertainers come in and say, and just say, look, I love pro wrestling. Like I just always did from a kid, and now I get to come here and do this. Like that, we equally love. I mean, Ozzy Osbourne is not only the standard, but, he's the exception to the rule when it comes to uh, big time celebrities doing something. Like, there's nowhere on earth that he can walk in a room and nobody knows, wow, that's Ozzy Osbourne. And to lose somebody like that after all of the appearances that he's made with pro wrestling and promoting pro wrestling, it's a great loss. And I send love and good feelings to his family. We were able to meet Sharon and the kids when they were younger. Uh, I feel bad for the world, not just for my own personal feeling, but from the wrestling world, we lost a great one.
Yeah, tough loss. Absolutely. You mentioned getting to meet Ozzy Osbourne. I'm sure there's a ton of other celebrities that have come through WWE over the years. When you were there, do you have a favorite encounter with anyone that's really memorable to you?
Well, I laughed at how Sharon's reaction to the Big Show. She just could not believe that there was a human walking the planet that was that big, and she kept going, "Oh my God! Oh my God! You're so huge!" It was just like the funniest thing in the world. People are not used to seeing people that are just, giant, enormous people.
No, definitely not.
Mark, the second career for you. I mean, you have this Hall of Fame career with WWE, but you found a second home with Dave LaGreca and Busted Open, and you've managed, you together, the group of you have managed to make that show the number one show on wrestling show in the world, and I think you're up near the top on Sirius XM as well. Talk a little bit about that transition for you coming out of active wrestling and finding something that fits your fits your lifestyle.
Well, I always wanted to do radio. and it started off me wanting to DJ, which I actually DJ around the world now. I got a tour coming up at the end of August, August 20th through the 30th. I'll be in the UK DJing, and um, meeting Dave LaGreca in Dallas at WrestleMania. I told him, I was like, man, I plan on, maybe doing radio one day. I was the first caller to Bust It Open on Sirius XM. And he was like, "You're kidding." I was like, "No, that's my end game goal is to do radio." He said, "Man, you gotta come on with me. Like we could do a show together." And I'm like, "All right." And that's basically how it started. And as I got closer to my retirement, um, my legit retirement, not my TV retirement, uh, I I kept contact with Dave all that time, and he was like, "Man, I want you to come to New York. We're gonna do this trial show, and then we'll send it to them and see what they think." And it just all worked out. So it was being a guy that was a communications major that wanted to do radio, and to end up where I ended up is right where I was supposed to be.
So you mentioned that fake retirement, the one we saw on TV back in 2013, and it ties in perfectly right now because, of course, John Cena, as far as we know, this is his real
I told you
retirement.
John Cena was a bad guy. Just
There you go. You
I'm
called
just
it.
saying I was right.
You called it years ago. You predicted this outcome for John. But as I mentioned, as far as we know, this is his real retirement. He's gonna end the year and walk away forever. It seems like that's going to be the case. But when I think about him, I do think about that moment that you guys had in 2013. Still one of the most incredible swerves I think we've seen in WWE history. I'm curious. Take us back to that year and kind of how it all came together because I know you were away for a bit. I think it was with some injuries, and then you came back. Whose idea was it? What was it to kind of put that all together and have that moment?
Well, the retiring was my idea because it was real. Like I did not want to keep wrestling. I was in a lot of pain. I'm still in a lot of pain today. And um, but Vince said, "Man, you've been talking about retiring for like a year now, and everybody's, you know, really thinking that that's going to happen. You can't do it. You now is the time to, kind of turn it all on his ear." And I leaned in kind of like, "Oh, what are you talking about, man? Like I'm in pain. I can't work these 100 and 250 days a year." He said, "You don't have to." He said, "What we're going to do is this," and laid out a plan. And for whatever reason, my contract was expiring in like 2 months, and I was going to be a free man. And I walked out of there with a 3-year deal. Like, what happened? What just happened? Oh my God, it was crazy. And that was the Hall of Pain was kind of created during that time. And um, it was the best point of my career financially, but it was also the best time of my year or the best time of my career in um, as a respect of being a champion again. So it worked out. It was a great time in my life.
Here's a fun one for you, Mark. You might not be able to get in the ring anymore. You've chosen not to. You get to be around the business with Busted Open, but you also get to live vicariously through your son, who is working his way up. Jacob, talk a little bit about the advice that you have imparted upon him coming into this business. You just mentioned the travel might not be as grueling as it was now because there are no house shows, but that is the part of the grind, right? The travel is probably the hardest part of it all.
It
What advice
is.
have you given him to prepare him for this career?
Well, Jacob is like he loves the history of wrestling, and I've been trying to break down the structure and the history of wrestling from 1960 to now. Uh, Before then, wrestling was different. in the 50s, the third, even in as far back as the 1900s, uh, through the Civil War and all the way through the 50s, wrestling had more of a carnival type of feel to it. And um, then, for whatever reason, in the late 60s, it changed and became more showy, more more moves and more ways to make the crowd cheer. It became more crowd centric. And Jacob is learning that. And Jacob knows that once he finishes college and he hands me a degree, which is kind of the understanding that we have, then he's going to go and start getting trained. And there's already 3 people lined up that have different skill sets that are going to start training him. I'm not having him come into pro wrestling to be average. He's coming in to take over, and I want him to be better than me, and I think he will be better than me because I was limited as a gimmick, as a big guy gimmick to do all the big guy stuff. Jacob's going to be able to do everything, and you put a microphone in his hand, and he's never been shy. And he's one of the most flamboyant kids that I know, and I'm not saying that because he's my son. He's sang in a band since he was 9 years old,
Hmm.
and he speaks Spanish and he sings in Spanish. Like he's a smart kid. So having the exposure and all of the wrestlers, he's known them since he was a baby. And there's so many guys that he talks to and he's in contact with that he asks them questions all the time. And I say, don't go and fanboy when you call people or they call you. I want you to learn something out of every phone call you make and every interaction that you have. And that's the advantage that he has over everybody else. If he fails, it's not because of preparation, it's because of lack of effort. And that's not what Henrys do. Like, Jacob is an accomplished athlete. I have a 15-year-old daughter that just got through competing in the national championships for wrestling. Joanna's going to be a monster too. So, like, hard work is what we do. And I always say that's what we do um, is because of my arrogance in my character, but it was also a real thing. Like hard ass work is what we do. It's not. It's not. I'm not trying to leave nothing to somebody else's interpretation. I'm trying to tell you that we are going to win. We're winners. We have 4 boys in our family that won Super Bowls. We've had 2 Olympians in our family, me being one of them. Like we strive for greatness. I mean, why wait in the wings for somebody else to lead everybody? Like I want leaders. I want you standing at the front of the room, being able to tell everybody, "Hey, this is where we're going, and this is how we're gonna do it."
I don't know about you,
Like
Jan, but
that's
Mark
what
got me fired up here.
that's,
Me
that's who
too.
my
I'm like,
kids are.
is Randy Orton the bar for the next generation to like for you know what I mean, like in a family generational type thing? Did Randy Orton set the bar for someone coming in whose father starred?
Well, I mean, you can put Randy in there. You could put Charlotte Flair in there. You could put Cody Rhodes in there. Like there's a ton of second generation from Roman Reigns, the Usos. Like I mean, you can go through the list.
Yeah.
The standard is the standard. The WWE sees value in legacy. They know that the kids understand what the business entails. Mom, dad, uncles, aunts, grandparents in the business will tell you, no, that's what you do.
Hmm.
That's what the business is. You know better. So you don't have as many problems and as many fallout from people that are from the outside. The outside people come in and see people like Charlotte Flair and Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes, and the list goes on, the Roman Reigns of the world. And then they go, oh, So that's what I have to do. And it just changes everything. It just puts it in perspective for anybody that has aspirations of being a pro wrestler.
So I'm interested because you bring up sort of the outsiders, and we've seen some people recently, I guess most notably Logan Paul come in, and there's a lot of excitement around him. Of course, his athleticism is off the charts. His mic skills are incredible, but he's someone that has, I don't know if you want to say figured it out, but he obviously has found a way to garner a lot of attention from the fans, and people feel a certain way about him. What do you think about a guy like Logan Paul?
I think that people like Logan Paul are necessary in pro wrestling because he's an anomaly. He never fit in nowhere else in his life like he does in wrestling because he was meant for wrestling, just like I was. Vince McMahon saw me on TV one time and was like, that dude needs to be wrestling. I've spent my whole life as a scout chasing people that were me. Paul would have been top of my list if I had known him or if I had saw him outside in a wrestling environment. Bianca Belair, she was a CrossFitter that I saw. Jay Cargill was a basketball player, but it was their personality. It's that when they walk in a room, everybody goes, "Who is that?"
Hmm.
Wow. They strike you, and you hear them a lot of times before you see them. Like when you can garner the attention of the world or every room you walk in, you take it over, you need to be a pro wrestler. Like that's just a prerequisite of what our business is. We are crowd gatherers. We're podium standers. Back um, the Civil War times, they used to have what they call stump speeches where they were building communities and there would be all these trees cut down. And the only way that you can get people's attention is if you stood on the stumps and got above everybody and garnered the attention of the masses. That's I want people to know our history, and I want people to know that it's nothing wrong with being able to lead and to be able to stand in front. There's a lot of people that have great fear of speaking in front of people. Like you can never be a pro wrestler and be one of those people. You got to stand up and take the attention from the people that want it. There's other people that want it too, and you got to take it from them. So that's what pro wrestling is. That's what I look for.
I know you got to go, Mark. Last quick question from me. Through your Rolodex in your mind, what's your favorite Canadian memory? Being in Canada, is there something that stands out?
Oh my God, man! I lived in Calgary um, in '99, 2000, and I got to go to the dungeon and work out with Stu Hart, and Leo Burke was training me at the time at Bret Hart's house, and the knowledge that I got from Leo and Stu, every day I would go to practice and try to some of the stuff that they would tell me about. And it was above my pay grade at the time. So I I would go and try stuff that I almost killed myself. And hurt other people too. Oh my God. I love that time because it was the most challenging, but I learned the most. And I don't know if y'all have that feeling where you learn something, you want to go try it immediately, but you're not really, you know, at the level where you should be doing that. Uh,
Yeah.
but it paid off. I kept grinding and ended up with a 25-year career of greatness, and a lot of that was because of that time I spent in Canada.
Of
Awesome.
course. Last one for me quickly. And with that, of course, we know your relationship with Owen over the years. And do you have a favorite Owen Hart story?
I think my favorite Owen Hart story was the Godwins used to have this thing called the pig pen, and they did it at a pay-per-view one time, and they had not cows, they had like pigs and goats and chickens and stuff, and the guy had them all in cages, and he came to the facility and he said, "Hey, I'm here for the with the animals for the Godwins. Is there somebody?" And me and Owen were walking in the building just about the time that the guy asked a question. Owen said, "Yes, yes, I know exactly where to go. But follow me." And I'm like, "What are you doing?" Like, and he's leading the people with the animals to Vince's office, and he said, "Just put them in here." And Owen starts opening all the cages and letting all the animals out in Vince's office. They're shitting everywhere. The chickens are on the ceiling fan. The goats and stuff are like jumping up on the desk and couches and stuff. And I remember hearing, like, Vince knew right away who did it. He knew right away who did it. And it was just like the funniest thing in the world. Owen did stuff like that every week. And he made wrestling so much fun. And I feel sorry for the rest of the world that they didn't get introduced to him because, I mean, outside of like Richard Pryor and Eddie Murphy and people like that, Owen was the funniest person I ever met. I mean, by far, he was such a comedian. He should have stopped wrestling and did comedy. That's how good he was.
Wow. Amazing story, Mark. Amazing time chatting with you today. Thanks for this.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, guys.